Everyone who goes through a spiritual awakening receives the same vague advice: trust the process. Everything has a purpose. You are on the right track. But no one tells you the raw truth about what really happens day after day in this transformation. No one warns you that on the 10th day, you will be on the floor, crying, thinking you have gone crazy. No one says that on the 20th day, your body will look like it's on fire inside, while your mind enters a frightening void. And most importantly, no one reveals that there is an exact timeline, a detailed map of this journey that the ancients knew and that was hidden under layers of sugary spirituality. The truth is that after waking up, you enter a 40-day cycle as precise as the phases of the moon. And what happens at each specific milestone will determine whether you actually cross over to the other side or are stuck in the middle of the road forever. Here's the paradox that no one wants to admit. The more you try to control your spiritual awakening, the more it breaks you. The more you resist the chaos of the first few days, the longer you're stuck in it. And the more you ignore the signals from your body screaming that you're literally being rebuilt cell by cell, the more painful the process gets. There is a scientific and spiritual reason why Jesus spent 40 days in the desert, Moses 40 days on the mountain, and even the word quarantine comes from this sacred number. But this information has been diluted, romanticized, turned into a cute metaphor, when in fact it is an operating manual of human rebirth. If you are experiencing this spiritual transformation right now, you need to know exactly what to expect on the 10th, the 20th, the 30th, and the 40th. Because these milestones are not random, they are portals of passage that you either consciously cross or keep spinning in circles thinking you are evolving, when in fact you are just repeating patterns. So comment below the number of the level you think you are in now. If you are in total chaos, comment 10. If you're in that weird void where nothing makes sense, comment 20. If clarity has started to come and you finally understand your mission, comment 30. And if you've already completed the cycle and are living in a totally different reality, comment 40. Because when you locate yourself in this timeline of awakening, everything changes. You stop thinking that you are lost and realize that you are exactly where you should be within a millennial process of ascension. Let's go. Do you know what Jesus in the desert, Moses on Mount Sinai, and Buddha under the Bodhi tree have in common? They all spent exactly 40 days in seclusion before emerging completely transformed. It is no coincidence that the very word quarantine comes from 40. The ancients already knew that this particular period carries an absolute cleansing force. There is something encoded in this number that runs through all of humanity's spiritual traditions, from the earliest times to today. And when you begin your spiritual awakening, this 40-day cycle activates automatically, whether you want it or not. Most people who go through a spiritual awakening have no idea that they are within this sacred timeline. They feel the changes happening, they perceive life turning upside down, but they can't understand why everything seems to follow such a specific rhythm. The truth is that your body, your mind, and your soul enter a timeline of awakening that obeys this cosmic mathematics of transformation. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. In the same way that a caterpillar doesn't need to believe in metamorphosis to become a butterfly, you don't need to understand it for the process to happen. But when you understand, everything changes, because then you stop resisting and start collaborating with what is trying to be born through you. So pay attention. If you have begun to feel that something profound is changing in you, if absurd synchronicities have begun to appear, if your old life is falling apart without you having asked for it, you have probably already entered this sacred cycle. And what happens on the 10th, the 20th, the 30th, and the 40th is not random. It's specific milestones in this journey of spiritual rebirth that will determine who you're going to become. Each phase brings unique challenges, unmistakable signs and transformations that will prepare you for a completely different reality from the one you knew. Before diving into the 40 days, it is essential to understand what this spiritual awakening thing that everyone talks about but few explain properly really means. Awakening is when you literally wake up from a collective dream. It's as if you've spent your whole life watching a 2D movie and suddenly get glasses that reveal a third dimension that has always been there, but invisible. You begin to realize that the reality you called normal is just a superficial layer of something infinitely deeper and more complex. The rules of the game change because you finally see that it's always been a game, and that you're a player and a creator at the same time. It's scary and liberating in equal measure because you can't pretend you don't see it anymore. The first signs are usually unmistakable, although many people try to ignore them thinking they are going crazy. That weird pressure in the middle of your forehead, as if someone is pushing your third eye from the inside. No, you don't need to go to the doctor. Your body is just recalibrating to pick up frequencies that were previously out of your reach. The synchronicities that start to appear in series, like seeing 1111, 2222, or number sequences repeated all the time, or thinking about someone and that person calling you 2 minutes later. And perhaps the hardest, that deep loneliness that hits out of nowhere, when you realize that you can no longer have superficial conversations and that most of the people around you are still asleep. These awakening symptoms are not problems. They are confirmations that you have crossed a portal of no return. Now, what most of the content out there doesn't tell you is that these signs are just the beginning of the story. The awakening itself is just the alarm ringing. You have opened your eyes, you have recognized that you have been dreaming, but you are still lying in bed trying to understand where you are. What comes next, this profound spiritual transformation that happens in the next 40 days, is when you really get up, leave the room, and find that the whole house is different from what you imagined. Each day of this ascension process brings specific revelations, calculated challenges, and energetic upgrades that will shape you into a version of you that today seems impossible. And it all starts with the absolute chaos of the first 10 days. The first 10 days after awakening are, without exaggeration, the most brutal of the entire journey. It's as if the universe takes your life and throws it into a centrifuge. Everything that isn't firmly rooted actually starts flying outward at absurd speed. That relationship you've been sustaining for years out of fear of loneliness simply implodes, and the person pulls away as if an invisible force is pushing them away from you. The job that paid the bills but sucked your soul from Monday to Friday becomes unbearable, and suddenly you are fired or feel an irresistible urge to quit your job without having anything guaranteed. Those beliefs that your parents, teachers, and society have stuck in your head since you were a child about success, money, love, God, explode one by one like soap bubbles touched by a needle. And you stand there in the middle of the wreckage, wondering if you've gone mad or if the whole world has gone mad. What no one prepares you for is the emotional roller coaster of these first days. You cry for no apparent reason. You may be drinking coffee, looking out the window, and out of nowhere, the tears come down as if you're releasing decades of compressed pain. And it's really releasing because your body has finally gained permission to let go of everything you've swallowed your whole life to be strong or not give trouble. There are days when you feel an inexplicable anger at everything and everyone, especially at people who continue to live on autopilot as if nothing matters. There are nights when you wake up at 3 a.m. with your heart racing, feeling like something gigantic is about to happen, but not knowing what. This feeling of being lost in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight is so real that it makes you want to give up and try to go back to what you were before. But then you discover that there is no more before to go back. Here's the truth that saves. All this chaos is not punishment, it's preparation. Think of a snake shedding its skin. It has to writhe, rub itself against stones until the old skin tears and falls off completely. If she tries to keep pieces of the old skin sticking together, she will be trapped between two worlds and will not be able to grow. With you, it's the same thing in this phase of deconstruction. That boyfriend who belittled you, that job that kept you small, those beliefs that limited you, all of that needs to fall so that the new version of you has room to emerge. And although it hurts as if you were dying, the truth is exactly this. You are dying, but only the part that was never really you. What comes in the next few days will show that this frightening emptiness you are feeling right now is actually the womb where something extraordinary is being gestated. When you enter the 11th to the 20th, something strange happens. Chaos subsides, but there is no peace in its place. There is a weird emptiness that no one has taught you to deal with. It is as if you had gone through a violent storm and now you are floating in a completely still ocean with no waves, no wind, no direction. You look at your life and don't recognize anything anymore. The old relationships are gone. The old job no longer makes sense, but the new one hasn't arrived yet. And the most disturbing thing, you no longer feel like chasing anything the way you did before. That anxiety to make it happen just disappears, replaced by a deep stillness that your mind doesn't know if it's enlightenment or depression. The truth is, you're in what mystics call the fertile void, the space between who you were and who you're becoming, where the magic of spiritual transformation really happens. It is at this stage that the physical symptoms intensify in a frightening way. Ringing in the ears that starts out of nowhere and lasts for hours, as if someone has tuned their body to a different radio frequency. And that's exactly what's happening. Hot flashes that rise up your spine even in the air conditioning. Cold sweat at dawn, heart racing without you having made any effort. Insomnia becomes your faithful companion. You go to bed at 11 p.m., stare at the ceiling until 4 a.m. with a strangely quiet mind, without circular thoughts, just present. A lot of people run to the doctor at this stage, do 1,000 tests, and everyone comes back normal, because it's not a disease, it's an upgrade. Your body is literally being recalibrated to operate at higher frequencies. And just like a phone slows down during a system update, you're kind of offline while the download happens. But it is in dreams that this period reveals its true nature. You start to have dreams so vivid that you wake up wondering if it wasn't more real than reality itself. Encounters with people you've never seen in your life, but who seem to know your whole soul, places you recognize without ever having been there, messages so clear that you wake up and write on your cell phone before forgetting. And during the day, the synchronicities get absurd. You think, I need an answer on this, and on the same day, 3 different people send you exactly the same message without matching. It's as if the universe has stopped whispering and started screaming because you finally have your ears open. That void that seemed daunting at first reveals itself as the cosmic womb, where you are being remodeled cell by cell, ready to emerge completely different in the next phase. From the 21st onwards, something changes in such a drastic way that it seems that someone turned on the light in a room that was completely dark. Suddenly, all that confusion of the last few days turns into crystal clarity. You simply understand things that were previously impenetrable mysteries. Why did you go through that painful breakup 5 years ago? Why did you lose that job you thought was your dream? Why did certain people disappear from your life without explanation? It all fits into a perfect narrative, as if you had finally found the instruction manual of your own existence. And the most incredible thing, you start to see your mission with frightening clarity. It's no longer that vague idea of, I want to help people. It's specific, detailed, urgent. You know exactly what you came here to do, and the penny drops in a way that makes you cry with relief and purpose at the same time. Intuition at this stage is no longer a guess and becomes an unshakable certainty. You know that you shouldn't accept that invitation, even if you can't explain why, and a week later you find out that it would have been a disaster. You feel like you need to call someone specific right now. Call, and the person was just thinking about you at that very moment in need of help. You meet someone new, and in 2 minutes of conversation, you have already captured the entire energetic essence of the person. If they are trustworthy, if they are lying, if they are carrying heavy traumas. It sounds like a movie superpower, but it's just you finally accessing capabilities that have always been dormant. And the demonstration, boy, the manifestation at this stage is frightening. You think it would be nice to have a conversation about this subject, and on the same day, a book about it appears in front of you, someone sends you a video, and you receive an invitation to an event where they will discuss exactly that. The universe becomes his declared accomplice. The most fascinating thing is that people begin to appear in your life as if they were magnetized by you. And they're not random people. They're exactly the people you need to meet right now. That mentor who's going to teach you the next step, that like-minded business partner, that friendship that finally really understands you. It's as if you've changed radio frequencies and now only tune into stations that are compatible with who you've become. Superficial conversations become impossible. When you try, you feel physical discomfort, as if your body rejects falsehood as it rejects spoiled food. For the first time in your life, you feel like you're piloting your existence for real, making conscious decisions instead of reacting on automatic. But that sense of control and power is just the beginning, because the last 10 days will test you in a way that will separate those who have truly changed from those who have only had temporary glimpses. The last 10 days of the 40-day cycle are about one thing: integration. You are no longer in the chaos of the early days, nor in the emptiness of the middle, nor in the euphoria of rebirth. You are in a strange, deep, unshakable stability. It's as if all the pieces of the puzzle finally fit together and you can see the full picture for the first time. Your vibration stops oscillating like a roller coaster and settles into a whole new frequency, one that you have never experienced before in your life. The people around you notice without you having to say anything. There are people who start avoiding you because your presence bothers you, and there are people who approach you like a moth attracted to the light. You realize that you are no longer who you were 30 days ago, but you have also completely mastered who you are becoming. There is no longer that feeling of being lost between two worlds. You are in the new world, steady, present, aware. It's in this final phase that skills that seemed like science fiction begin to manifest themselves in a concrete way. You put your hand on the shoulder of someone who is in pain and feels a warmth coming out of your palm, and the person reports immediate relief. You have become a healing channel without taking any course. It starts to have flashes of situations that haven't happened yet, and days later they unfold exactly as you've seen them. It's not guesswork, it's access to future timelines. You look at a person and can read their energy as if it were an open book. You see old traumas, emotional blocks, hidden potentials, everything wide open. It sounds crazy, but it happens so naturally that you accept it as the new normal. These abilities have not come from outside. They have always been in you, just lying dormant, waiting for you to reach the right frequency to activate them. But the universe is wise and applies a final test to make sure that you have really changed. Situations from the past come back with full force. That ex who hurt you reappears wanting to talk. That friend who cheated on you tries to get closer to you. That tempting opportunity that would divert you from your purpose appears bright in front of you. It is the completion exam of the ascension process, the cosmos asking you, did you really integrate all of this, or was it just theater? And here comes the brutal difference. You go through these situations with a mastery that surprises you. There is no drama, there is no anger, there is no temptation. You simply observe, acknowledge the old pattern trying to pull you back, and consciously choose the path aligned with who you have become. When you go through these tests without flinching, something seals inside you, a certainty that you have completed the sacred cycle and that from now on, life operates on completely different rules. When you cross the 40-day line, something fundamental changes in your reality. You are no longer waking up, you are living awake. And this is not a pretty metaphor, it's literal. The rules of the game have completely changed for you. The manifestation that used to take weeks or months now happens in days, sometimes hours. You think, I need money to solve this. And on the same day, someone pays you an old debt that you no longer remembered, or a job opportunity appears out of nowhere. The divine protection is visible in a way that chills. You almost have an accident, but something warns you a second before. You are about to make a terrible decision, but you feel an inexplicable block that prevents you. Doors begin to open on their own. Influential people call you without you having gone after you. Opportunities that you once begged for now look for you. Paths light up in front of you as if someone had turned on cosmic spotlights pointed only at you. But there is a side of this new life that no one prepares you for, and that can be difficult to swallow at first. You don't go back to normal because you have become the new normal. And that has practical and irreversible consequences. Superficial relationships are literally impossible to sustain. When someone tries to have that shallow conversation about gossip, time, or futility, you feel a physical discomfort, an agony in your chest, as if your body rejects it just as it rejects poisonous food. Purposeless jobs become unbearable torture. You can even try to keep that job that pays well, but doesn't feed your soul. But your body will start to get sick, your mind will break down until you get the message and leave. You've completely lost the ability to pretend everything is okay when it's not, to smile at people you know are fake, to participate in systems that go against your values. It's liberating and scary at the same time. Loneliness may tighten again at this stage, but it is a different loneliness than the one you felt at the beginning of your awakening. Now it is no longer fear of being alone. It is the awareness that you operate at a frequency that very few people have reached. Conversations that once satisfied you now seem empty. Places that once cheered you up now drain you. People who once understood you now look at you as if you spoke another language. And that's okay, because simultaneously you're attracting those rare human beings who are on the same journey as you. And when those connections do happen, they're so deep that a 10-minute conversation is worth more than years of old friendships. You are living in a parallel reality within the same city, the same country, the same planet. And although sometimes you miss when life was simpler, you know that you wouldn't trade all that clarity for anything in this world, because once you see beyond the veil, there is no turning back. There is only advancement. Now stop and take a deep breath, because this question is for you who are watching this right now. In which phase of this sacred cycle are you right now? If you are on the 1st to 10th, feeling your life falling apart, crying without quite understanding why, seeing relationships and situations falling like dominoes, leave a little fire down here. If you're on the 11th to the 20th, in that weird void where nothing makes sense yet, with ringing in your ears, crazy dreams, and synchronicities exploding, leave a drop of water. If you're on the 21st to the 30th, with that absurd clarity coming in, sharp intuition, manifestations accelerating, and feeling like you've finally understood your mission, it leaves a lightning bolt. And if you've already completed the 40 days and are living in this new reality where the rules have completely changed, leave a crown for us to celebrate together. This is not just a poll, it is a map for you to locate yourself on the journey and realize that you are not alone in this transformation. The most powerful thing about understanding this whole process is that you are not adrift in random chaos. You are within a precise cosmic timeline that humanity has been observing for millennia. When you recognize which day it is, everything changes, because then you stop resisting what is happening and start to consciously collaborate with your own evolution. If you are in chaos, you know that emptiness comes later. If you are in the void, you know that rebirth is coming. If it is being reborn, it knows that integration will seal everything. And if you have, you know that your responsibility now is to live this new frequency with mastery, and maybe even guide others who are a few steps behind. You are part of an invisible community of souls who are traversing this portal together, even without physically knowing each other. And when you mark your phase here, you strengthen the energetic current that sustains us all. But it doesn't stop here, because understanding the awakening timeline is just the beginning. There are specific techniques to speed up each level without skipping steps. There are traps that can make you regress if you're not attentive. There are subtle signs that indicate when you're ready for the next layer of consciousness. In the next content, we will dive deep into how to navigate each symptom of awakening wisely, how to avoid the mistakes that most make and that delay the process by months, and how to use practical tools to integrate all this into your daily life without freaking out. So subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell, because you don't want to miss out on what's ahead. This journey is just beginning, and the more you understand about it, the faster you consciously evolve instead of just being swept away by the current. So now answer me with total sincerity. After everything you have just discovered about these 40 days, are you going to continue going through this process in the dark, stumbling through each phase without understanding what is happening? Or will you use this knowledge to consciously navigate your own transformation? Because one thing is for sure, now you can no longer pretend you don't know. You have understood that the chaos of the first few days is not collapse, it is cleansing. That the emptiness of the middle is not depression, it is recalibration. That the clarity that comes after is not an illusion, it is you finally seeing the truth. So apply it to your life now. Stop resisting the phase you are living and start collaborating with it. If relationships are falling apart, let them fall. If the void has hit, it plunges into it instead of trying to escape. If clarity has arrived, act on it before the rational mind convinces you to return to the known. Here are the questions that will define the next few months of your life. Do you have the courage to let go of everything that no longer serves, even without a guarantee of what comes next? Are you willing to go through the full 40 days, go through each portal consciously, and emerge as someone completely different? Or will you give up in the middle, run back to your comfort zone, and spend the rest of your life wondering who you could have become? Because this spiritual transformation that you have begun is not something that you can pause or put off for later. It will happen one way or another, with you collaborating or resisting. The only difference is that when you understand the process, you shorten the suffering and accelerate the evolution. When you ignore it, you spend years skating in the same place thinking you're evolving. Look, if you've come this far, it's because something inside you has recognized the truth in those words. You are part of this invisible community of souls who are awakening now, at this very moment in human history. And that is no coincidence. It is called. So, subscribe to this channel now and activate the notification bell, because the next videos will show you exactly how to speed up each level without skipping steps, how to avoid the traps that stop 90% of people in the middle of the road, and how to use practical tools that will make you integrate all of this in a solid and permanent way. This knowledge that you have just received about the 40 days after waking up cannot remain only in theory. It needs to become action, become daily practice, become the compass that will guide you to the other side. So let's go along on this journey, because the more people consciously awaken, the faster we transform not only our individual lives, but the frequency of the entire planet. I'll see you in the next video.